Hi, lady. Hmm? Hi, Gary. Hi, Charlotte.
I'm not sure if I'm on mute. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I'll go back onto mute just to spare the computers, the acoustics.
Not sure this is gonna work, so, all right, thanks. Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody here all right?
Are we there?
Waiting for Maureen.
Huh?
We waiting for Maureen.
Oh, the hell we're waiting
Gary,
for me?
Gregory. It's Gregory. Can anybody hear me?
Here, Gary.
Okay. I
Hello, Gary.
How we doing?
I guess we're doing okay. Can you hear me okay?
Hear you fine. I don't see you, but I hear you fine.
You sure you can hear me?
I hear you.
That's it.
Okay. Anybody got any good stories while we're waiting?
I don't know, but I gotta go change the baby pretty soon here.
Where's Maureen?
She sent a reminder not too long ago, so
She might be having trouble getting in. I didn't have the easiest time myself.
Can you hear me?
yes.
Haven't met me yet. Yeah. Um, you- um, oh, and-
Okay.
Hello? Hi, this is Andrea Fenton.
Hi, Andrea. Gary.
Andrea.
Hey, how are you?
So I guess they let you in. Good.
They let me in verbally. I don't have the WebEx
Okay.
app probably downloaded just yet.
This thing's a bit muffled.
Sorry?
I said the sound is a bit muted.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was not able to complete the download of the WebEx and password so I could call in by phone.
Hi, this is Maureen.
Right.
Who's there?
Maureen's there.
Yeah.
Hey, Maureen.
Hi.
Hello.
All right.
Hi,
We have everyone
Andrea.
here?
Okay, who's gonna do what to whom?
Okay. Tell me who's here. Tell me who's here.
All right, you got
Andrea.
Andrea here.
I can't hear you.
And-
Stop one at a time.
Gary
Andrea
Gregory.
Fenton.
That's two. I'll take one at a time. One name, please.
Andrea Fenton.
Oh, hi, Andrea.
Amanda Blair.
Okay.
Gary Gregory.
Hi.
Who's the last one?
Gregory.
I have Amanda and Gary. Who's next?
George.
Okay, we have two Georges. I don't have a visual, so you're just gonna have to talk to me.
Holly Long.
I have Andrea Fenton, Amanda Blair, George Ryan. Are you there, George?
I'm here.
Okay, George James? No? Okay, Gary, you're there, yes?
Yes.
Gary Gregory?
Yes.
Gary Gregory, you there? No?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Tom? No, Tom? How about Anthony?
Yep, I'm here, Maureen.
Okay, thanks. How about Holly? Are you there?
I'm here as a guest, yes.
Yes, okay. So we have 3 guests, Holly, Andrea, and Amanda. Okay.
And Mary Jo Nozel's here for a little bit, Maureen.
Oh, cool. Okay, thanks, Mary Jo. Okay. Anthony, you're in charge. Take it away.
I want to thank you guys for getting on this. I know it looks like we're maybe 50% with the video chat. Everyone else is calling in on the phone line. Is that correct?
I
Yes.
am, yes.
Okay. Well, anyway, appreciate it. If nothing else, it's good to at least, you know, keep in touch with each other, say hi, see what everyone's up to. If anything, staying safe and healthy, I hope. And maybe we can attempt to hash out some of the items that have been building on the agenda, albeit through email discussion. We didn't have anything that was significantly pressing that we needed to really push for a meeting. But there were a couple things I think everybody has on their agenda that they think is important one way or another.
Could we take a look at the minutes from the last meeting to start?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Should I read them or has everybody read them?
I
I'll
read
make
the
a motion. I'll make a motion that we do not read them and approve them. Gary,
Okay, is that a motion?
that's a motion. We're ready for discussion on it.
Okay,
I'm on board with that.
okay. Comments, anybody, corrections?
Second?
My second.
Ah,
Okay. Okay. I'm good.
All in favor? Aye.
All right,
Anybody against it?
okay.
everybody hear me all right?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. I had to switch my volume control, that's why I asked.
Okay, so on the agenda, first thing is the sustainable CT. Anthony, sustainable CT is first on the agenda.
I'm trying to pull up the agenda here. It keeps refreshing this window.
Okay,
I'm seeing, so at this point, we are voting to accept the proposal to apply, correct? For the sustainable deadline at April.
well, either April or August, so we'll see which we can, if we can't meet April, then we'll apply for August.
Right.
But the vote is to go ahead.
So we had a sustainable CT discussion last week, I believe it was. Maureen was on it, myself, Holly, Tristan from Sustainable CT. And we went over, who else was on that, Maureen? Did I miss anyone?
Well, Holly Lime is a guest at our meeting right now. Also,
Right.
Patsy McCook from the church and Tink Willauer from the church, both of them.
Right. So the discussion was going through with Tristan line by line and seeing where Old Lyme already stands and with the thresholds, how close we've come to meeting the certification requirements based on what's already been done, what may or may not apply because it's out of date or it's, you know, obsolete at this point or not, it fell apart, who knows. But it was looking like we were in a pretty good position with very little modification to meet that certification. The idea would be that we could either establish it for April if we are all up to par, or by April deadline, we'll at least have a very good idea if there's anything that needs improvement on that would put us in line for the August or end of summer certification deadline. So the outcome of that was basically we're in pretty good position without doing anything. However, there are certain things that have happened in town over the last year or two that may be able to be applied towards the Sustainable CT program.
Yes,
Can I-
that's correct.
Well, is it okay if I jump in for a second?
Yeah, please do.
So we've gotten more points since that meeting, or more likely points. We still need to do a walk audit before we would, if we don't do something that involves equity, like a walk audit, then we won't get it. But we have more points even than we had a week ago.
That's good news.
So does everybody understand what the walk audit is?
No.
Why don't you recap it?
Okay, well, it's part of the equitability category. And for example, transportation is a big subject, but we can choose walkability within the town. So I have contacted a group, different clusters of people who would do a walkability audit, for example, on Lime Street, on Halls Road, Town Woods Road, what was the other one? Route 1, all of those areas that have absolutely no hospitality for any kind of walker, biker, or anybody who's on the road and not in a car. It doesn't mean that we have to force the town to do any of these things, but it's an audit that includes people who have less than average mobility. So for example, you would include in each one of those groups somebody in a wheelchair or a walker, or just struggling with 2 feet on the ground. So the idea is each of those groups would have a mixed group of people. It could even be a mixture of ages also. Look at the kids who are going over to Chocolate Shell after school. There is a plan, there is an audit. We don't have to create the audit. It's actually been created by AARP, checklists and explanations, and you would take photographs, for example, to show the lack of crosswalks or the necessity for a light or signage. So it's to document how the town goes about creating some kind of focus to encourage people to walk, to encourage people to not be driving. So those are including the area of 156 going past St. Anne's Church and down towards the beaches. Those areas could be each done by a separate small group of people who could do an audit on each one of those areas. So it doesn't have to be the same people, doesn't have to be all on the same day. They can do their own work and a report and submit it. And so that issue would qualify for equitability in the town to get us started and get enrolled in the process.
Yeah, you can add the Essex back because they just put a handicap walk up.
Okay, well, it could be any of those towns, and a lot of those reports are online so that we've been able to look at them, use them as a model. And in the meeting that Anthony is talking about was a virtual coffee hour, so that we signed in and then broke into conversation groups so that we could ask specific questions like on this equitability issue. So there's plenty of resources out there, and in the next week, we need to get hustling to get that that whole process started. But I have people who are interested and would pitch in, and it's a manageable enough process. Rather than create a big group, create smaller groups. Okay, so that's mentioned in the agenda too, is what those tours are supposed to do.
It sounds to me like you have a very good handle on it. I mean, if you could head up, I will help you out whenever I could.
Okay, good. We'll put you on one of those walkability groups. Holly also has agreed to lead the way. She's very good at documenting and writing and reporting. And yeah, sure, we'll put you.
Yeah, Maureen, you could, I'm the same way as Gary is, so if there's something that you need or you need a participant, just give me a call.
Okay. I will.
Maureen, this is Mary Jo.
Yeah.
I don't know if this will be helpful or not, but the town received the connectivity grant last year, $400,000 to do construction of a sidewalk on the upper end of Hartford Avenue and the north side of 156 between the cross lane and the police station. And part of that initiative was born out of really a group of moms who wanted to have safe access to Mott Creek School and then down to the beach. And so, I mean, I think we might be able to parlay, even though it's an existing project that we're working on, we're just really getting started with it. It may fit into the program for points. And I'd be willing to share any information we have on that with you guys. That will help.
Okay, well that's perfect, because we can put that into the report and then make that as an outcome of this. And by the way, this effort overlaps into another category, which has to do with sustainability with small businesses. So that as we do this walking tour, we can also bring in some of the folks, if you look at Hartford Avenue is a good example, there's businesses there. And how do we combine walking and less driving and more accessibility for folks like that? So we get points in both categories.
Great. And, the engineer we're working with has some really nice pictures of Hartford Avenue if you need some photos for the report. I'm sure I can get you some.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be
that's
great.
all great news.
Maureen, the towards walkability item says we need youths and moms with strollers to participate. I can push a stroller, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
beyond. Okay.
Yes.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
I will. So I'm assuming that whoever is volunteering might be available during the days of this week so that we can get this done, correct? At least get
For
a
Gary.
start. Yeah, okay, Anthony, good.
Yes.
George, is it Gary that volunteered?
Yes. Gary's good.
Okay. All right, thanks. Yeah, I think we can do it. Sometimes if we use a deadline to our advantage, then there's more motivation to hustle. Plus, everybody's home.
Yeah, well, Maureen, I got a lot on my plate because I'm helping out a lot of people know Lyme in another location. So if you want me, give me a date notice so I can schedule, okay?
Okay, I will. Yep.
Maureen, you might want to check the weather because I think tomorrow's sunny, but the rest of the week, I don't think it is.
Oh, good timing. Then I'll get it. Maybe we'll start it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. Walking in the rain might also tell us where all of the puddles and drainage are too. But we'll see if we can get this done tomorrow.
I know where they are because
Okay.
that's a heartache I have with the puddles on the roads. I've been meaning to talk to the select people, but I haven't got down there yet.
Well, this is your big chance.
Okay.
All
I'll
right.
sleep better
Thank you.
tonight.
Yeah, me too. Okay. Thanks, Anthony. How about a vote?
Yes.
You're looking for a volunteer for the wheelchair. I don't mind sitting in one.
Hey, I'll push you, George. I'll get my exercise that way.
Good.
And,
I tell you what,
and I got,
you go up Lime Street in the wheelchair and then we'll switch and I'll come back. Need the exercise.
And I have a wheelchair we can borrow. So how about that?
I have to get my,
Does it come with
I
your
have to
husband or not?
Can't hear you.
I don't have
More
a-
than one person.
I said, does your wheelchair come with your husband?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, Maureen.
Or something? Well, my husband isn't going anywhere these days, but thanks for asking.
Maybe he'd like to get out too.
He probably would. He's not. Can't do it.
Ah,
He's breathing his last breath.
Mm.
Okay, how about that vote? Somebody.
and the question for the vote is what?
The question is, does the commission agree that we should apply in 2020 for sustainable CT?
I vote yes.
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, Anthony, you call it.
Okay. That's what we're doing.
George James would vote yes too if he was on the phone. No, I'm serious. I already thought you.
All right. So we're moving ahead with sustainable CT. Thank you, Maureen.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Will you send a follow-up email regarding the tours of walkability details?
I certainly will. By the time you hang up. Okay, so let's go ahead. On the agenda, one of the things that we have to talk about is plan of conservation and development.
Can you define that for us, please?
Well, about exactly 10 years ago, we gave input to the Old Lyme Planning Commission. There was a beautiful booklet, which I have in my hands, and it's looking to the future. Recommendations for action, land use map, the status, and what you would hope to see happen in the next 10 years with input from Conservation Commission. And George James took charge of that. And the problem is that George would love to do it again, but the group in charge, Old Lyme Planning Commission, is not really interested in publishing a new plan. So Mary Jo, maybe you could speak to that.
Well, it's interesting. This is Mary Jo. It's interesting that you brought that up. Although I did see it on your agenda. We had the selectmen meeting yesterday, and I asked the other selectmen, what's the status of the plan? Would the selectmen get the opportunity to weigh in or read what they've produced? And quite honestly, I was underwhelmed with the answer. I was told that a survey is supposed to be going out, if it hasn't already, to the residents on what they would like to see in the future. And that I don't know about if the other commissions besides yourself have been included in this, but ultimately it is supposed to come back and get a review, I was told, by the Board of Selectmen, but I would really like to have some input on the front end, as you're suggesting, and I actually brought up one project in particular that I think, I don't know if Rebecca's still on. Both Chris and I are really interested in getting a solar option on the landfill. And I think something like that, the solar piece is really important in the new plan of conservation development. So I think now is the time to get input. But as you say, I'm not sure we've had much outreach yet. So I'm thinking that we might need to be a little more aggressive and just start sending them some emails and some information. So it's documented. That's my suggestion after last night.
So if you don't have any influence, how would we have any influence?
Well, I think we have influence if we actually document it and send it to them and say, you know, this is what we would like to see in the draft plan of conservation development. Are you planning on bringing us all together for your input? If not, here is what our commission would like to see in the document, and we request a review. At least it's in
Okay.
writing then that you've requested it.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, George has been talking about this for several meetings now, but yeah, like you, he's been underwhelmed by the response. So he didn't think he could go ahead with it, but if we can put together, like you said, a list of either questions and suggestions,
Why not?
we'll try it. Barring that, it doesn't look like we're going to have a new plan.
Well, I don't know with everyone working from home. I don't know if they've met. I really am not aware of that at this point. But to help them, I think we should document some of the areas we're concerned with, and then it's documented for the future. I don't recall when the document has to get to the state, but it is due before the end of the year.
Yeah, this is adopted December 28, 2010, and it met the general statutes of Connecticut. I'll have to look for the dates, but yeah, you're right. It has to be in this year. Some of this could be utilized or updated. It's a pretty nice
Yeah,
photographs in full color.
yeah.
So, okay, well, I'll put that in the minutes and we'll see what George James has in mind.
Okay.
And you might ask Amanda if she would support something along those lines.
Okay, go ahead.
I think the Open Space Commission would have to have a meeting and discuss it before we could come up with something.
Okay. Okay, so I'll let you report back to us then.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we're keeping the discussion open on the POCD.
So that's good.
Is Tom on the line?
Go ahead.
Status of the FCCOL climate survey.
Yeah, that comes from Tom, and they did a climate survey within the church. So without him being present, I don't have any information. So we'll do that for next time. Put that on.
Rebecca, you were nodding. You didn't have any input on that, did you?
I didn't. I'd love to see it though. I
Okay.
was just thinking about it.
Well, up next is solar, Rebecca.
I am
Rebecca,
here.
are you there too?
I'm here. Hi.
Okay, I'll put
I'm
you.
sorry I was a
Hi,
tad late. Nice to hear your voice.
thanks for coming.
Yeah, I was glad to hear the update, and I'm happy to put input into that draft plan. My focus really is on Region 18, really for the Ready for 100, and I joined this like electric school bus towns in Connecticut that want electric school buses, and they're looking at the VW settlement funds. The proposal from the DEP will be coming out like in June at some time. And so I've met we use M&J in Region 18 and Mansfield Public Schools, and there's a member at this like electric school bus commission that also uses M&J. So we might be able to collaborate with them to get some funds and get an electric school bus or something like this. So there's some collaboration happening in Connecticut for a push for electric school buses, and I'm representing Old Lyme.
Hey,
Good for you. Wow. Nice.
Yeah, it would be cool. As far as getting, they opened that sustainable advisory committee at Region 18, and I'm like the point person for renewables. And I really want them to agree to the resolution to commit to in 10 years the 100% clean energy. Ian Advisor, the superintendent's a little hesitant on that number, and we just got a new facilities guy that seriously was there probably like a week before COVID happened. So I haven't had a lot of, I was talking more with the older facilities guy who just retired. So that's kind of been, I haven't had a lot of I haven't been doing a whole lot there, except for that the sustainable committee was approved, and they know that I want the resolution passed, but it's obviously not top priority. So I'm just trying to get it a commitment to 100% at least in their 5-year strategic plan that they are putting together this summer. So somehow wording that appropriately so that gets included in the plan. And that would include the HVAC systems, renewable electricity, and electric school buses.
Wow, good. And that fits right under that sustainability effort. So a lot of what you're doing, it can be, we could use that to gain points, but also you get support back from the whole effort and the whole group of people that are resources for us. So I'll have you, I'll get an invitation for you to go to an online coffee hour Friday.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Rebecca.
You're welcome.
Obviously, the electric buses has a greater good, but I think that obviously fits really nicely hand in hand with the sustainable CT program. And there's also,
Yep.
opportunities for match funding in that.
Yeah. Yeah, the school buses aren't cheap.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I got it.
We want to move down the list.
Sure.
Seeing town landings here. I saw a nice picture from Gary. Send the picture, George, of the Smith Neck Road boat launch.
That's not the state, that's the town launch there
On Smith Neck.
on Smith Neck, yes.
So, what's that, Town Road, the dirt road straight off on the corner?
Yes, it's Town Landing Road.
Okay.
That's the one that George mentioned last meeting.
Going in and pulling some Phragmites.
It really is not in bad shape at all.
Well, I got the idiot stick in my trunk, so if I need one other person, we can go down there and take it in about a half hour.
And what do you need to do?
Gary, you wanted to get rid of some more of those weeds, right?
I'm happy with Smith Neck Road landing.
Did you want to do anything else to it?
No. There's a little bit of trash to pick up there, and that's it. There's parking there. Anybody with a, canoe, kayak, get in there. Easy.
Yeah, well, I've got that area and the other one up north to take care of, but the weather hasn't been too nice, so I've had a lot on my plate, but I will get to it.
What we do need at both of the landings is signage, saying it is a town landing, maybe something about parking, especially the one up on Tennahag there. That driveway, Diane's driveway is on town property. So I was thinking we should get up there and get some people using that, so whoever buys that property won't be shocked when they see a car in their side of their yard.
Okay, that's a good idea. I don't know how to get signs though.
Well, I think Amanda will help. Amanda, can you help me with that?
Well, I'm just a little confused about your status of your commission with the town landings. And I thought that Public Works was maintaining them. And there is a canoe and kayak committee group working on things. You might want to work with them and see what they want. And before you start putting up signs and then have people upset.
Yeah,
I
I
think you
agree
need
with
a
you.
little clarification on that.
And since we have Mary Jo here, maybe she could find out if the town even wants us messing around at those landings. I mean, it should be done by Public Works, but the one up at Diane's house, nobody had touched that in a long time.
I'm not
Well, maybe it doesn't need to be touched. It's access. I mean, that's what I think. I think you
Well, it
need
does.
some clarification.
If it's a town landing, it needs to be maintained for the public.
Well, but it's accessible. I think it depends on your definition of
Well,
accessibility.
Yeah, it is accessible because George James made it accessible.
Well, I think you need some clarification. We don't want to upset property owners and get us involved in any litigation. So I think we need some clarification with Public Works, with the canoe and kayak committee. And I think as a courtesy to the property owners, you should notify them. I think we've tried to do that on open space before we just go in and take over and put up signage and assume, the responsibility. I think, I just tuned into this tonight, so I don't know what you've done in the past with the town landings, and I'm not sure of the history, so that's why I'm a little hesitant to comment on that, because I'm just not that familiar with their status.
Well, I agree with you that the owner needs to know about it. But right now, I believe it's for sale. It's in the estate. So my point was,
Right.
if we get a sign down there now, then if a future owner comes down there, he's going to see a sign and going to realize, oh, this is a town landing. Otherwise, the guy that buys that property is going to think he's got 200 feet of frontage on the river, and he's really got like 50. He's going
Well,
to be
but-
very
but
upset
Gary-
when he sees cars in his parking in the side of his yard. That's my point.
Well, it's a very good point, but here's another thing, is when we go, as you know, to mark open space boundaries or easements, we pull out the survey and we confirm it, and we talk to the property owner, and we make sure sometimes, we can research and find out what the rights are and everything before we assume. So I'm not sure what the boundaries are on Tantamaheg. I'm
Well,
not sure where they are on Town Landing Road. I was down there the other day, and someone's done a lot of work, and they put a trash can and it's cleared and it's accessible because I kayak from there all the time. So I'm, and it's actually on maps and everything. There's a canoe and kayak map, and it's on a map. So, maybe it needs to be on. I'm not sure if it's on the website or not, but I would. Open Space wouldn't want to comment on this because we just don't know that much about it, and would need to do research and.
People who live down there keep it cleaned up.
Okay, well, I know the one person on the left side was redoing the wall. I mean, there's nice walls, and it's certainly a lot better shape the last couple of months than it has been. Someone's done some paving. I don't know if it was Ed in Public Works or who. So, and there is a sign that says Town Landing Road. I mean, I don't know what you're looking for in terms of signs.
Yeah, no, I'm satisfied with that because it was clean, it was accessible, plenty of parking. The one that I think needs something, especially is the other one.
Well, you're looking at $1 million property with a lot of surveys and a lot of people, so I would tread lightly. I would get all the information I could before you start marking things.
Yeah, I agree. We need a survey there, but since you taught me how to use the vault, I've been in there, and that goes back to like 1700 when the Smith brothers or somebody gave that to the town. So all that is
right, but
in the vault.
Right, but you need to go out and find your markers, and I think I know the attorney who's handling the trust. You might want to contact them and have that, make them aware of the situation so they can point out, and the realtor. I mean, I always think it's good manners to notify people.
That's a great idea. Would you email his contact information, please?
You mean her email address?
Whoever is the attorney. You got me.
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you.
I think there needs to be more discussion on that before I release names. So I think it's a public record, the land records. I have to be careful. I do work for the town attorney, so I don't want to be in a conflict.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next issue.
Rogers Lake. Maureen, we're back to you.
I don't really have anything for Rogers Lake. They continue to meet just like we are virtually. So they've got a list of things such as hiring security for the lake. Nothing new going on. So we can move on from there.
Keep us posted if anything changes. Article for March Old Lyme Events Magazine,
Okay, that's me.
your
If
outreach.
you noticed, you didn't probably notice, but in the last events magazine, they had not published the article that I submitted to them. And I had a nice article about composting with a photograph that goes with it. And the gal that submitted it at my request has a regular article in the day on gardening and landscaping. So I was pretty disappointed because she and I worked to get the article down to the 250 word maximum. Now, for the next session, all right, the deadline to me is May 1st. I can either redo that article, they will republish it, or I don't remember, was it Gary or was it George Ryan that said they had vernal pools that they would like to write about?
Well, I have,
Oh, Gary's got the article.
there's several
Okay.
things there's several things I would put on the list to consider. One, vernal pools, the other's snags.
Okay, well, here's the
I
thing.
can get. Go ahead.
You've got a week and a half. So whichever one can blossom in the next week and a half, I'll take it, and you have to submit it to me, please, so I can edit it. It's a strict 250 word maximum.
I will call you tomorrow. And
Okay, if I'm not out hiking around the town, yes, call me.
well, you're going to be walking with me tomorrow, I think.
Okay. Well, yeah, so just to let you know that we've got a deadline and we've got a maximum, and it's coming real soon, as is that April 28th deadline. So if you're willing to hustle to meet that deadline, I'm all for hustling.
All right, we'll talk about it
So
tomorrow.
yeah, you
Right?
can check in with me. Okay,
All right.
terrific. Thank you.
Okay.
What else?
Upcoming Events Magazine, that's the same, that's all bundled together.
That's it. That is it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Current, stroll and enjoy Old Lyme's beautiful woodlands.
Yeah, that was a nice email that I forwarded. I forwarded that. I have a separate email account that I use to contact people about, particularly about Rogers Lake information, but that was a good overall get out there and walk article, so I sent that out. Okay, go ahead. We don't need to do anything.
No, but that was nice and timely, so important to stay outdoors if you can.
It certainly is.
Looks like the last item here is George James talking about beavers. We settle the beaver dam problem?
I don't know
Great.
anything.
George is not on, is he?
I can speak a little bit. The beavers are gone on Whippoorwill at the culvert. And as of a few days ago, I didn't see any activity there. Halfway up, a couple hundred yards up underneath the power line, there is a dam that's been there, I think, been there 7 or 8 months at least. That's about all I know about it, but I don't know anything about the lake up there.
You have to talk to George. I've already spoken to him about it, but I'm not going to speak for him.
Well, there you have it. All right, that wraps up everything other than new discussion, which we covered. Whether or not we'll be involved in the plan of conservation and development.
Hey, I would like to add one thing where we got Mary Jo here. That where the beavers were last year at the culvert, they will probably come back this year because there's plenty of beavers upstream and they're gonna have kits and they're gonna be coming down that way for a place to live. That property from it underneath the culvert belongs to the town. Once you leave that culvert, you're in state property. And we were talking about putting deceiver in there, we being the Open Space Commission. I believe we're considering putting a beaver deceiver in there. So maybe if somebody would talk to the select people and say if they wanted to do that, might be better to do it now before the beavers make the water 6 feet deep.
Actually, it's Amanda Blair from Open Space. That's not entirely correct.
Well, straighten us out then.
Well, my impression that the Land Trust and the Open Space brought down Mike Callahan from Massachusetts on a beaver deceiver, and we met with Bonnie and Ed because the culvert is town property. I was up there when the state of Connecticut with Peter Cable and Mike Kiernan came down and cleared that and said that the culvert is town property. The state will not get involved. So there has been a number of times that has been cleared out, and then someone destroyed it in December, along with numerous other properties, beaver dams on the Land Trust, the Open Space, and on private property, all up, almost all the way up to Black Hall Pond. So whether the beavers come back or not is to be seen, but Ed in Public Works is probably the person to contact because he has cleaned it out numerous times and would like to have a beaver deceiver in there. And it is a possible and probably effective thing to do. That's what Mike Callahan said from the Beaver organization. But the state's not involved, and it wouldn't be an open space because it's not open space property or land trust. So it would be up to the town.
Well, the maps that I looked at indicate that that's state property, not under the culvert. But no.
The beaver dam is in the culvert.
Yeah, but the beaver deceiver would be in state property, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Well,
so if you're going
that would have to be determined by Ed where they locate it.
I just want the select committee to realize that the beaver deceiver is, I believe, would go in state property, and that may be easy, may not be easy.
Well, again, it's a survey question, and it would be up to the town to refer, and it would be up to them, where they would put it in. But the state has already told us they weren't getting involved with it. So you'd have to have that dialogue with them.
Just put it in.
Well, it's not even there now, so it's like $2,500 to $3,000 for one of those. So that comes out of somebody's budget.
And constantly tearing down the dam comes out of somebody's budget also. So it's something for
that's called vandalism on public property when they come onto open space or land trust land, and that would be a deep violation.
I'm talking about when the town has to go down and clean out the culvert. There's money involved there also. So just so management can know and make the decision. That's all.
Yeah, I think it's a situation that's an ongoing situation that needs to be reviewed.
Okay.
All right, so the beavers continue.
Yeah, yes, they do. And I was curious what George had to say about them. That's one of the reasons I tuned in to see.
We'll have to catch him next time.
I have been advised that you contact George and he will talk to you about the beavers.
Okay.
You're looking for something else to do.
Well, I have a lot on my slate, to be honest with you.
Just kidding.
And I just wanted to mention that tomorrow is the 50th celebration of Earth Day, and we sent out a townwide notice. And we just spoke with Olin Logan, who's going to do a little article on it. So I think 50 years. I think back of when those people were raising their hands to the sun and celebrating Earth Day, and 50 years later, we're folding our hands in prayer, saying, what's happened to our Earth? So, time to reflect, walk our trails.
Amen.
Sure.
Amen, sister and
And
brother. So, well, it's been a very nice meeting. Thank you for letting me join it.
Thanks for everyone for calling
Thank you
in.
for coming. Andrea, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
thank you
is
for
there
letting me
anything you
join.
want- Yeah, is there anything you want to say or comment on or add or correct?
No, I am just would avail myself to help on trails and cleanup and things of that nature.
And Andrew, I'm glad you're here because I heard you came to our meeting in February and I was away and I was trying to get a contact number for you.
Ah. Do you have my number now?
No, I don't have your number. So if you want to give it to me, I'm walking trails and we're creating one new trail we just finished and we're clearing a few for McCullough. So I'd love
That's what
to
I
get you
wanted
out
to
on it.
do, be involved with the ones on McCullough.
Okay, well, if you give me if you don't mind doing it over the public broadcast, your phone number, I
Sure.
can give you a call. Thank you.
860 304 3572.
Great. I'll give you a call the next day or so. And like Gary said, the weather doesn't look too cooperative, but we're working away. We're hoping that we were all set to go to court on that to get the conservation easement modified. Everybody signed off on it, and then they closed the courts for 2 months.
Right.
So we're kind of in limbo land right now waiting, but we may do a soft opening. We're waiting to see. We have a few other. And while I'm out on the public broadcast, Mary Jo, could you give me a call? I have another thing to discuss with you at some point.
I just checked the weather. You'll be okay for tomorrow.
Okay,
Well,
good.
right.
It's gonna be a little
But
chilly, so.
well, I have billable hours tomorrow, unfortunately. I got to pay the bills. But we'll be out. It's going to warm up. So, yeah, they're beautiful trails. I have to, and we've connected 2 of them to the Lay Preserve. So we're partway through
Yes,
our goal of the
that's awesome.
Crosstown Trail. Yeah, they're
Yes.
just gorgeous. Yeah, I see people on them occasionally when I'm out there. So,
Yes,
yeah.
that would be wonderful. I'd look forward to speaking with you.
Okay, great. Thanks. And thank you all for letting all of us attend the virtual. I hope to have a open space meeting next month on a virtual. So maybe you all will join us. It's 9:00 on a Friday morning.
Okay. Hey,
That's
before
good.
we finish the meeting, Mary Jo, I have a question for you. I'm forging ahead with this sustainable CT. But I'd like to cover this point. At what point, or do we need approval from the selectmen?
I think Mary Jo had to drop off. I don't.
I'm not getting anything from you.
So I
you
think
there?
she said she could only be here for a while, so maybe she's left.
I think Mary Jo's off.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. I'll just keep on going. Thank you.
Go more.
Great.
Okay.
Hurry back.
All right. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good
Okay.
night.
Thank you all.
Bye now.
We'll be in touch
Thank you
next
for letting me
week.
join.
Excellent.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Have you done anything about your wildlife preserve yet?
No, I haven't yet. I've got my garden going. It's been keeping me busy.
I got some extra paperwork for you.
Oh, you do? Send it over.
Yeah, well, I was gonna wait till the next time I saw you.
Yeah, who knows when that'll be?
Yeah. And Anthony, I have paperwork for you also that requires your signature. So maybe when we're walking, I'll bring a pen.
Okay,
Okay, you can just sign. All right, I'm done.
all right. We'll be in touch. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. Beautiful. Great job.
Okay, we'll see ya.